Welcome to this week's Eternal Monday, where Blastoise Water Box takes on Roaring Moon EX. This game comes from the November 2023 in real life Eternal format tournament that took place at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch, here in San Antonio, Texas. If you're new here, you might be wondering what the heck even is the Eternal format. In short, it is the unlimited format with a ban list. So this means the format features cards from the original base set all the way through to the most recent tournament legal set. Although it's an unofficial format, it's an incredibly fun format with a lot of rich deck building and gameplay experience to be had. If you're interested in learning more about the Eternal format, you can do so at justinbasil.com/eternal. Up first, we're going to look at Blastoise Water Box, which we have seen a number of times on this channel, so I'm kind of just going to go over the highlights real quick. In many ways, this is very similar to Chin Pao as it is in Standard. However, I think it's a little more potent than it is in Standard. You have Claydol as your main draw engine instead of V-Barrel. Claydol is a significantly stronger draw engine. You're able to put up to 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck and then draw until you have 6 cards, so that means you're able to draw a lot more often. And then you also have access to Blastoise GX. You don't have that kind of access with Baxcalibur at the moment. There is no branching evolution. Blastoise GX offers a few pieces of utility, including an attack that shuffles the energy back into your deck, and an attack that lets you attach a bunch of energy from your hand to your Pokemon. So if you're under ability lock, you can still get energy into play and still take some knockouts. You also have access to Dive Ball, which lets you search for any water Pokemon in your deck. Super good. Brookle Hill, which lets you search for basic water or fighting type Pokemon, which means you can set up both your Baltoy and your Chenpaos and your Blastoise with Squirtle. Basically, the deck's pretty straightforward. It works fairly well. It has access to Nessa for recovery. There's no real surprises here. This is kind of what you'd expect from an Eternal format water deck. As for this Roaring Moon deck list, in many ways this is basically just the standard Roaring Moon with some Eternal format flavor. You have Eternal format staples like Lapras from Legend Maker and Luxury Ball. They're cards you expect to see in basically every Eternal format list, if not most of them. But you do have a few niceties like Dowsing Machine to get cards back from the discard pile, Altar of the Moon to give reduced retreat cost for your Darkness Pokemon, and you have access to Protection Cube, which makes it so that when you use Frenzied Gouging, you're not taking a crap ton of damage, and you more or less just stay at full health all the time. And for that time when you don't, you have access to Hyper Potion. All in all, it's more or less a bog standard list for Roaring Moon. Dark Patch, energy switches, Pokestops, really not that crazy. The one nicety you do have access to is Parallel City, which lets you dump 2 Pokemon from your bench when you turn it toward yourself or force your opponent down to just 3 Pokemon on their bench. You kind of have to pick because it's a directional stadium card, but that could mean that you're dumping both a Crobat V and your Squawkabilly, which can be great if you're trying to take your non-attacking liabilities out of play. So that's Roaring Moon. Let's move on to the game. Okay, our players have shuffled up. They're getting ready to reveal their Pokemon here. We have a Lapras start, a very unfortunate start for the Blastoise player. Roaring Moon, starting Roaring Moon, not the end of the world there. Do you see a Radiant Greninja, a Quick Ball, getting rid of a water energy right off the bat for his Squawkabilly. See that, wow. Ultra Ball going straight for another Roaring Moon. And then a Squawk and Seize for 6 fresh cards. And a pass. All right, it is Blastoise's turn. Immediately going for the Iono, trying to get out of that horrible hand. Hoping to find something. Double Dive Ball is pretty good. Interesting. Squirtle and Radiant Greninja, not Squirtle and Chin Pao. That's a thought, I guess. Chin Pao pretty good in this matchup. Do you see a water energy attachment to that Greninja? Just a pass. Pokestop comes down. Protection Cube going on the active Roaring Moon. Discarding a Luxury Ball and an in for another Roaring Moon. It looks like they're thinning their hand down a bit there. Yep. Gonna play Crobat and draw some fresh cards. Looks like they get a fresh 6 off of that Crobat. That is very good, actually. Do see a discard off of Radiant Greninja to draw a couple more cards. And a Pokestop versus Seeker, Dowsing Machine, and Research. That is not a horrible Pokestop. That's one of the better ones I've seen. Double Dark Patch. Ooh, spicy. Double attached with Dark Patch and an attachment from hand. Ooh, extremely nice. Just need to find a way to get that thing in the active spot. Oh, no way to get it in there. Interesting. Pokestop on the other player's side here. Just Computer Search going into the hand, not the end of the world. Dive Ball, still not getting Chin Pao. It's getting Blastoise though, can get that set up at least. Do you see that there? Computer Search. I think this Computer Search was for a Float Stone. So getting the Float Stone to attach on that Lapras there. And then playing a Nessa. Using Nessa to get some energy into play with Blastoise. Here, getting fish that water energy out of discard and just reattach it to Radiant Greninja. Gonna soften up some Pokemon on the bench. Choosing Crobat and Squawkabilly. Not entirely sure how I feel about that. I feel like I would rather have put it on the Roaring Moons just to make it necessary for them to have Protection Cube in order to use Frenzied Gouging. But even then, with the way Chin Pao is, I don't know that it really makes a huge difference because Chin Pao is already so squishy for Roaring Moon. Gonna see a Versus Seeker to use that Sada's Vitality. Gonna just draw 3 cards there. Doesn't really need a lot on this side here to get going. Probably just gonna retreat out of the active. We do see a Parallel City able to take that damage out of play. Yeah, I really wanted to see at least some of that damage on that active Roaring Moon. But we do see Roaring Moon, the other Roaring Moon that is, go to the active spot with a Protection Cube. Gonna just knock out the Radiant Greninja without a care in the world. Choosing not to discard the Stadium card, so must have used Frenzied Gouging with that Protection Cube. Irida goes through the deck, finding itself a Chin Pao and a Field Blower by the look of it. That is a yay hooray moment. Field Blower surely going to get rid of those Protection Cubes, going to take them out of play, make it a little bit harder for them to use Roaring Moon just willy-nilly. Chin Pao getting some energy on it. There goes the double discard on that Protection Cube and the other Protection Cube. Now we're going to just see a quick, oh, not enough damage. Oh no, only 3 energy. Not enough energy in play to actually take a knockout. That is rough. Whiffing that knockout and then immediately getting that Chin Pao knocked out that's pretty much game ending for Blastoise here. I'm going to just promote the Manaphy and hope it gets knocked out. See a Quick Ball. Discarded with the effect of Earthen Vessel, getting a couple energy out, attaching yet another energy with Dark Patch. I think that's the 4th Dark Patch at this point. Gonna Guzma up the Blastoise. Oof. And I think that's gonna be a concession at this point. That is brutal. Yeah. Roaring Moon took this one. Blastoise player is just giving it up. Yeah, that was a rough game. That was a very rough game for the Blastoise player. Blastoise usually sets up a little bit better than that. That Lapras start really hurt it set up. Yeah, oof. Roaring Moon, interestingly enough, actually, I don't think it's that good in Eternal, but it definitely had a really good showing here against Blastoise Water Box. Anyway, that is all for today's Eternal Monday. A bit of a short one this week, but kind of interesting all the same. We did get to see Roaring Moon do some things in Eternal. Got to see it use Protection Cube. Got to see it use Parallel City to dump its support Pokemon. Pretty nifty, frankly. But yeah, like I said, that's everything for today. If you happen to be in the San Antonio area on January 13th, yes, that's the 13th, not the 12th, like I've said in the last couple of videos. If you happen to be in the San Antonio area on the 13th, we will be having a Eternal Format tournament, the next Eternal Format tournament in real life here at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch. The previous video said the 12th. It was the wrong day. That'd be a Friday. It doesn't happen on Fridays. Happens on the 2nd Saturday of each month so far, and we're going to try to continue that trend. But yeah, like I said, the 13th of January will be the next Eternal Format tournament where you can join us and have a field day, bringing whatever crazy deck you feel like might work for the format. And frankly, I think we're going to see some really interesting ones soon. I know some friends and I are going to be testing some spicier decks here soon. If you've seen the Poke Beach podcast at any point recently, you might have heard me talk about something with Spiritomb and base set Alakazam, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe if you aren't subscribed, and as always, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.